Hey there, I'm Tracy Spears, speaker, author, coach, and host of Shift Out Loud. I'm super excited to introduce you to my guest today, Mr. Rick Hust. And I'm so excited to introduce them to you, Rick, because when I look back on my life and I think about people that inspired me the most, you're near the top of that list, my friend.
Mm, mm.
Seriously, I quote you. I stand on stages. I tell a couple of stories about you. They will come out today. And I'm curious when I tell them if you're going to remember them or not. I bet you do. Do you want me to tell one of them now as kind of your,
Good.
oh my gosh. Okay. Here's the one I tell. And I give you the credit for all of this. You said one time that before you walked into a room, you
Mm,
stood outside the door and you turned on the electricity and then you walked inside the door and you turn on the lights.
yeah.
Oh gosh, that was so amazing. You remember that?
I do.
Oh
I
my,
do.
oh, listen, that's a man living with intention. And so anyway, let's bring you in. I normally will read a big long bio. They're going to hear about you through your story as your bio. So let's just kind of jump in. Welcome and let's tell everybody where you're sitting right now. Where are you?
Okay, I'm in San Diego, California. I'm sitting in my office slash man cave slash music room and really just kind of we're getting ready to go on a very nice adventure in a couple of days. So we're just packing and just really just getting ready to enjoy another chapter in my life.
Listen, that's what I want to talk about. I want people to know you and I worked together. And when I read through your bio, we were at a company, a sales organization. You were there 32 years. Is that right?
It. Yep, 32.
Wow, that's a long
Yeah.
time. I want to talk
Yep.
a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But where do you want to start? You want to start? I know you have a little restaurant industry background. Let's tell a little bit about you. And as we kind of start to unpack some of the shifts that have happened for you. So where do you want to start?
Well, I'll just kind of tell you that I've been fortunate enough and honored enough to have been married for 47 years on the 16th of this month.
Wow.
I got two wonderful daughters, 42 and 38. And, I got four grandchildren and really, I've been blessed along this road in life. Life has a tendency to chisel you out and mold you. And through those shifts that you're talking about, which really kind of just opened up my head big time, um, that just really just right now I'm a executive coach for a couple of companies. Someone that Levi Cody,
What?
has a couple of businesses with his brother, and I do some work with him. I do some work with some of Dave Reben's people in his business, and I do just enough to keep me reading leadership books and keep my fingers in the business and keep my head and my heart, connected to people. So really, and just loving to travel and enjoying life. Now I'm almost 70 years old. I still got a great zest for life and um, just enjoying things.
Oh my gosh. So Kim, 47 years, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's that's pretty exciting, but be
yeah,
easy. She's amazing.
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I know you always credit her as being a big part of your success as well. So
yeah,
glad
absolutely.
to talk a little bit about her. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the first shift. Where was when you think about like the times that you have had a shift and it shifted you into playing bigger, if you will. What tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving the opportunity because when I read that shifting out loud, and then I listened to, of course, some of the people you had talked to, and then what it's all about, it really just expanded my mind. Actually had me looking back at my life and even looking forward in my life. What's the next shift? So the first shift, if you can believe it or not, Tracy, was when I was 9 years old. I don't know if you knew it or not. I know you played softball and you know how competitive sports and when you're playing in the game, there's nothing like a ball game And I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I loved Sandy Koufax, and I really started pitching when I was in third grade. And in fourth grade, I could I could strike out almost every single batter I faced. I'm
I,
left-handed, and I could throw a curve. I mean, I didn't know I was throwing a curve, and I could throw a curve, boom, and then I could throw a fastball. I set him up with I wasn't even thinking. I curveball, fastball, curveball, fast. Anyway, it kind of leads up to this because soon after that, as you know, I experienced eye issues, and those eye issues derailed me from my dream to be a major league ball player. So I got very depressed. So my parents, we were seeing a therapist, and they set me down to this doctor, this Dr. Ellerbrook, and I was 9 years old, Tracy. And I was in a dark room, kind of like this. He had a little lamp on his desk, and he's smoking cigarettes, like going crazy. And he didn't say much. He said, "How am I feeling?" And I'm kind of like this, kind of depressed. I can't play baseball. I'm really down. And he said, "Ricky, here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to put your shoulders back. I want you to look me straight in the eyes. And I want you to smile at me." And I did. And he said, "How does that make you feel?" And I said, "You know what? I feel better." He goes, "Ricky, that's what I want you to do from now on. When you walk down the street, I want you not looking at the cracks in the sidewalk. I want you looking at people square in the eyes. I want you to put a smile on your face. And you know what's going to happen, Ricky? Not only are you going to be encouraged by the way that you feel like you feel right now, you're going to encourage the people across from you, and you're going to see them smile back at you." And that set the tone, Tracy,
at
for
nine, at 9.
at 9, if you can, I remember it like it was yesterday. And because that's the way it turned out, and the way I practiced it and the way I did it, because I would still get down. I would go through iterations of being blind or legally blind. And I'd have to say to myself, "Keep a smile on your face. Be be as happy as you can be. This should pass." And it just over time, you get in the habit of being that way. And that's kind of the foundation. That was the first. And my parents noticed it. The people around me, my friends noticed it. So that shifting out loud affected not only me, but affected the people around me. I became a different person.
Mm. Listen, I watched you over the years when we worked together when you said come in and out of blindness. So sometimes you had vision, sometimes you didn't. I didn't ever understand, Rick, what was happening. Can you tell me a bit more about your experience? Like, was there something that would trigger that, and kind of what was happening?
Yeah, a great question. I, at an early age, went blind in my right eye. So I had the one eye. In the left eye, for whatever reason, and they still can't figure it out today, is a vein would break in my left eye, which would cause a vitreous hemorrhage. And a vitreous hemorrhage would totally blank out all sight. I mean, total, not blackness, but like if you put Vaseline on a window, it's that white. I couldn't see hardly even move it. I could put my hand up to my eye and go like this, and I couldn't even see it.
Mm.
And that would happen, and the blood would have to then recess back into the eye, soak in until I could finally see again. And that would happen periodically throughout most of my transit systems career.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories of I know you're going to remember it. And I bet you're going to talk about it. I want to steal your thunder, but it was when you came, we were in a meeting and you sent us all downstairs we were going to go to a restaurant, and you said, stand by this stoplight. Do you remember this? And so we were all like standing by the stoplight, like, why are we standing by the stoplight? And you came driving down the street in a 550 SL or 500 SL Mercedes. And you were just honking and waving and driving, and we lost our minds. We couldn't believe we were so excited for you. Of course, you remember that, yes?
Oh, I remember it just like you remember it. That was my dream car, and, from the earliest time the 500 at the SL 500 came out, even from its early, 1970s or 80s, I forget exactly when I wanted that, and I remember it was in the parking lot near the Marriott there, right? And I
That's right.
drove right there, and yep, I remember very clearly.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that was such a great memory. And with all of the technology and things that have happened, tell me kind of now, what's your experience? Because it seems like you are seeing me perfectly. Is that true?
it's true. Yeah, interesting enough, I have the best doctors in the world. Jules Stein Eye Institute in UCLA, one of the best eye institutes in the country, maybe even the world. And I've been fortunate enough to have the top doctors. And what has happened is I was in this eye examination, and my retina doctor, um, who sees me for the vitreous hemorrhage, he says, I'm, you go through these all the time. He goes, I'm not supposed to say this to you, but my wife is a holistic doctor, and she recommends that you put phosphorus underneath your tongue every single morning before you have anything. He goes, I've done that with a couple of patients like you, and they've never experienced it again. Guess what? I've never experienced it again. It's been 5 years since I've had an episode where a vitreous hemorrhage has happened. So I can't see. My sight right now is 2050. I still can't. 2040. You have to pass the DMB test, but 2050, not too BAD.
Oh, not bad at all. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're traveling the world and seeing a lot of amazing places. So
Yeah.
taking advantage of that vision for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you remember my other favorite Rick Hust moment when you know what I'm talking about, when you got up and the doctor told you that you lost your vision, that you were going to lose your vision? Do you remember this story? Come on, you got to tell it.
It is it about the sight versus vision, or
Right. That's right. That's right.
okay, the doctor goes, well, he actually asked me because it was really bad. And he goes, well, how's your vision? I go, doctor, my vision's 100%. It's my sight that's giving me a problem here. I don't know if that's the story that
That's
you
the story.
remember.
That's the story. And listen, I'm putting you on the spot. It's hard to recreate that moment, but just, energetically, when you would speak or tell any of those stories, of course, because we were all and are so emotionally invested in your success, it meant a lot to watch you navigate that with such grace. Because there was never a moment, and I know you said that you've been up and down about it, but there was never a moment that I felt that as a colleague of yours. So, the fact that for me, a guy when you're 9 years old says, keep your head up and look everybody in the eye, knowing what you were going through. And you've done that beautifully. So well
Thank
done,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about?
Okay, so the next shift happened, and this is a moment that I'll never ever forget, and it's created my next transition into the sales industry. I was in the restaurant business for a long time. My mom and dad, they owned restaurants, and I worked in them. All the way from what you do from a pot washer to a general manager, and running the businesses for him. That was my dad's dream. He wanted each of his sons to have restaurants, and he would set us up and things. And I worked them, and that's what my dream. I bought into that, and that's what I wanted to do. But my dad went ahead. He opened up other restaurants, and I went ahead and I went my way in the restaurant business and worked my way into a general manager position in a high end steak and seafood place. Well, here's the story. I'm working it. It's May 15th, 1983. Yeah, I think it's 1983, and it's Mother's Day, and I'm working it. It's the busiest day of the year, and these four women come in, four generations of women, from a very, very older lady to the last, the daughter, of the mother of the grandparent. And we were right on the ocean, Tracy, and they came up and they had reservations, but you can't reserve window seats for them. So they came up and said, "Hey, could we have a window seat?" And after I saw them, I go, "Gosh, I'd love to give them a window seat," but they were all taken. I said, "You know what? You could have a window seat, but just going to be about 45 minutes to an hour." And they said, "Oh, no, grandma's probably can't wait that long, so we'll take the first available." The first available table was right by the kitchen. And I said, "Well, the seat that we have, it's a booth, it'll fit you, it'll be really nice, but it's kind of by the kitchen. I'd like to seat you someplace else." And they said, "No, we'll take that one." So I'm walking them back. I was helping the hostess that day, and I walked them back to this table right next to the where your food comes out by the kitchen. And I said, "Here it is." And at that moment, this is where the shift happened. I looked at each of these women at the table and I said to myself, "Here I am working on Mother's Day, and my mom and my wife are at home by themselves or with their husbands, or my wife's not having anybody." I said, "That's it." And
Wow.
I'd already, was down. I said, "I can't stay in the restaurant business. I have one baby and one baby on the way. Holly was born and Heidi was going to be born in December. This was May." So that's it. I can't do this. To have a family and to do the things I want to do and raise them up and spend the time can't happen. It was a aha shift. I made the paradigm shift. Boom. June 23rd, 1983, I walked into Lillian Russell's office.
Did not.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Woo.
Lillian
Best decision.
Russell. You got to talk about Lillian Russell. And so tell people what that job was for
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She was probably one of the biggest influences on me, not only because how she was as a leader, but how she was as a, uh, how she nurtured us, on how she was patient with us, and how she brought the best out of each and every person on her team. I learned, I became a student of watching her look into each person's behavior and how she was able to find the piece of gold in these folks. And Lillian just was, she was amazing and I still am in contact with her. So,
Dude. Yeah.
um,
Me too. Listen, I'm with you. So you worked very closely with her. Obviously, she hired you, brings you into the business. You get a little dose of her every day.
yeah.
I got to see her like once a year, but even in once a year, the impact that she had on my life. I remember one time, you'll love this. She didn't give anybody a free pass, as you know, like she was, always talking about how you could do better. And I'm literally standing in the bathroom at Rohnert Park when we're, having one of those big long meetings at the Red Lion Inn. And she walks in behind me. And of course, I'm already intimidated by her. And she's like, "Do you see that woman over there?" And I'm like, "In the bathroom?" Like, "What are you talking about?" And it was somebody washing their hands. She said, "She needs a dose of you." And I said, "What does that mean?" And she's like, "You're thinking about yourself. That's the future of our company. You need to go over, you need to be motivating her. You need
Mhm.
sometime this weekend, you need to get in her head a little bit. I don't think she's cut out for this. And you really need to get in her head." And I mean, like, she's inspiring me. I'm, going into the bathroom. She's telling me that I need to be motivating the other women in the organization. And at the time, Rick, I was bad. Like, people barely even knew my name, but it didn't matter. She just saw something. So I don't know. Tell us one of the funny stories, if you can think of one, that happened while you're in that sales office?
Oh boy. She never went out cold calling. She was Mama Lil. She was in there. She had to be there for anybody who came in dragging or was upset or slamming phones and things of that nature. So I think one of the funniest things, we were cranking it out. You had to make 70, 80 calls. You know how it was. And so we're talking on the phone, and Rick Nicholson's in the other room, and Fagan and so I'm on the phone, and this person, I mean, it was one of the worst phone calls of the day. I never made one appointment at the end of the day. And I take the phone and I slam it. I slam it down on the thing. I literally break the tip of the phone. And I go, oh no. And she comes in the other room and says, that's what I'm talking about. I go, you're not mad at me for breaking your phone? She goes, phones, they don't cost anything, but people like you, they cost a lot.
Nice.
And isn't that, oh,
No, wow.
anyway, that we everybody's laughing. I'm breaking the phone, and then we just started dancing in the office. And she goes, here's $10. Go down to the store and buy us a 6-pack of beer.
I didn't see that coming.
I know. She would give us, so we had enough. Back then you could buy a 6-pack for like $4, and we'd go get a cheese ball and crackers, and we'd eat, you know, and we'd eat it. She'd stay, and she wouldn't drink, but we drank that stuff down. And
Oh
we'd
my
make more
gosh.
calls as we're drinking.
So for everybody listening in, I want people to understand. So when you say 70 or 80 calls, like, this was a full commission sales job. And all of us that we're not making we didn't have two nickels to rub together, right? But yet we were surrounded by these people that were definitely creating the shifts for us. And I look back on Ed and Sherry Brown and the Chuck Reddicks and all the people that were giving us all of this confidence, whether we deserved it or not. But it really became my family, and I know it did yours too. That organization, the people. Oh, I miss that time, if you will. That we would hole up in that Red Lion Inn
Mm.
for days and days, like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Magic.
Thursday through, I think we left on a Sunday morning or something.
Yeah, that was magic, though.
Yeah,
I just can't imagine. So you're there 32 years,
yeah,
and you started like moving up. You became a vice president in that organization,
yeah.
built like some amazing sales teams. So, gosh,
Mhm.
when you look back on that 32 years, what's the part that you are most proud of?
I probably, the people that we developed along the road, watching them become the leaders that they wanted to be, those who wanted to be leaders. I'm very proud of the district managers that we put out, even the ones that didn't quite make it. Very proud that they took that leap and they had the belief and that they did some good work. And then the people that they developed along the road too. So I think just the development of the folks and opening up these different offices, like the company, like I wanted, the company wanted. But I think when I became a vice president, I really didn't like that job, Tracy. I'm not a detail person. Kim is the detail. Thank God she did the spreadsheets and all that stuff. I'd have been fired a long time ago. So at the end of that reign, I think I was a VP for like 9 or 10 years. I forget,
Were you
but
really?
yeah, from 1997 to like 2007 or something like that.
Wow.
I can't even believe it. I don't I can't believe it. But the best thing that happened was when they took me out as VP, and I was going to be a regional manager again, and they said, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. I said, hey, okay. The thing is, back then it was actually more profitable to be a regional manager than it
Right.
was.
That's
So
right.
my best, I say accomplishment or feeling was when our team grew again as a regional manager. We grew our team, and I got to be again the regional manager of the year.
I
It
remember.
was more satisfying than the first time than I can ever imagine because there were so many other people that were involved. You being one of them, Wally Schmader, Tom Lee, just different folks that really were wanted. I was like my cheerleading team wanted me to succeed after what had transpired before.
Listen, I remember that, and, there's two things I want people to hear about that. When you oftentimes we promote people and you become like a vice president. When I became vice president, same thing. I was miserable. It's like it wasn't like people think that one skill set's going to transfer to another, and sometimes we pull people out of their joy, right? Because it's just
Mm.
it just seems to be the right next step. And when we watched you go, that's not where my joy is. My joy is developing people. I have goosebumps right now thinking about Rick Hust not developing people, like, just being in that more corporate kind of, day to day stuff. And I know you're an executive coach now. Do you now provide counsel for people to say, are you sure that's the next step for you? Is that just what's logical on paper? Or is that going to give you joy? I would imagine it makes you a better executive coach now. Yes.
Absolutely. That right there. I mean, that's another, shift because you lived it. And I ask questions leading up to these executives that tell me pretty mm, along the road, depending on how they develop in their role and the joy that they're getting, I can kind of get a good feel for if they want to take the next step. And I'll either push it and giving them more tools to get them to that next step, or I'll keep them to be the best employee, independent contractor they can be in their role.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
exactly right, Tracy.
Well, listen, I do think there's, and I have this happen in my own practice where people will, the career ladder that you and I were, raised on. And Wally is famous for saying this, we were raised on a career ladder where you're waiting for somebody to retire or die. And, then you move up because that's what you're supposed to do. And he has put together like a chessboard. And he's like, this is the game you're in now. You can move anywhere you want. Like the career ladder days are over. And the chessboard is being more strategic about what you want and what gives you joy. And you can actually, run teams without having the 20-year history in some organizations. So I love thinking of it in those terms, especially for younger people.
Absolutely. And I love how you use the word joy because there's a difference between being happy and having joy. And
Mhm.
that really is a key word that I use in my coaching. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. So what brings you joy right now? You're sitting here kind of talking about what's filling you up with joy.
I think the most, that is that I had the freedom, to do the things I wanted to do. And being that guy who couldn't see very well and having the opportunity, I mean, as I look back at my life and having the opportunity to be in trans world systems as an independent contractor slash employee at times, to do it so many times where I couldn't even see, you couldn't do a regular job, right? You just couldn't do it. So to look back, that brings me joy. Right now, as I sit right here, is that I have the freedom to do anything I want, anything, within reason. I'm not an extravagant spender. I'm a pretty, low key guy, but I want to, I know that if I want to go anywhere in the world, I can do it.
Mm.
Um, if I have a peace within myself, a contentment within myself, I'm safe within my skin. I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the world. I mean, she brings me joy. I mean, I'm as grateful of a person that you could imagine.
Well,
So that's what brings me joy. And I'm just, you had a question in, about what's that next chapter look like, what's going to be the next shift. Well, the next shift is going to happen here right after we get back. I haven't been one of the best workout people in the world. I used to be a runner and stuff like that. And I've worked out and lifted weights and all those things, but I haven't done actually what I should be doing. We live in a real nice area, a lot of hills around here, and I get some cardio, but I need to do some body tone, Tracy. I need to get out there, get my resistance bands. I need to do more. I need to, be able to walk up some of these cardiac crushing hills without breathing heavy. So that's the
That
next.
I
That's the
love.
next. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it becomes more and more important as we age, doesn't it? To be thinking about. I can't imagine not being in shape enough to the point that you can control it, right? And I know there are things that happen to people, but to say I can't go on vacation or I can't go, walk up that hill or I can't do that. So I'm with you. That's a big focus of mine as well. Where are you going? You said you're about to leave on a vacation of a lifetime. Where is it?
Yeah. Sunday, we've been taking these kind of ramp up every 3 years. We go to Europe and we started out 3 weeks, then it was a month. And now we're going for like 35 days. We're going to finish off France. And we're going to go fly into Paris. We're going to go up into Normandy, Mount Saint Michel, down the Loire Valley, a little bit of Provence, some of the cities we have. We're not going down into the Riviera. We've done that already. And then we're going to shift our way up into the French Alps, into Chamonix, Lyon, all those areas, and just feast on an Epicurean gastronomic free for all.
I just got back from something similar to that, and I'm cheering you on. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap? Any other shifts that have happened for you that you want to make sure our
Yeah,
audience
thank
hears
you.
about?
Yeah, one last one really happened before I came into trans world, and it kind of just set the tone. And that was my transformation into Christianity. Um, when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I really started to build that relationship. Even finding trans world was like after I, committed myself, and it's like he's guided the way all along. I can't tell you the miracles that have happened. I can't tell you, and we could spend hours, and just to be able to rely on that, knowing there's someone else in control other than me. And I got the scriptures that back it up. I mean, whenever time I get to a point where I'm starting to feel like, hey, man, why is this going on? I got things that back it up that tell me everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. I'm in control here, and I got, from James 1:2-4 to Galatians 5:16 to Philippians 4:6. I mean, I just go rely right on that. That's my bedrock. That's the shift. When I made that shift right there, the whole world, for me as a person, the anxiety or stress or whatever other things happen, I'm just slowly but surely being chiseled out, refined, compressed, and made into you know, trying to be the best person I can be.
I thought you were going to tell me that you're shifting into having a church. Like I thought that was, I could see you standing in the pulpit. Man, you would be, I know you would be so good. Have you ever thought about that?
I've 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 never got into the pulpit. I've been in front of church. I worked on staff at church for a couple of years. I developed ministries for the church, so I got a lot of exposure in front of crowds in church. I just never got in the pulpit. That would be, it would be good, but sometimes the one-on-one or the smaller group, as you could have a bigger impact that way than you can on a Sunday afternoon where they come in and they're gone.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
like the after, do the ministry, have the follow-up, get that, how are you doing? Find the gold, find out what's going on, try to get them to the level that they should be.
I had a guy one time, he was actually a TSI rep and he was a preacher and he left the ministry, he left his church. And I said, Jack, what, tell me more about that. This guy was just made, Rick, to be standing in the pulpit. And he said, listen, here's the truth. I'm a great preacher. I'm a terrible pastor. Like, okay, well, he knows his strengths. Like, that was all he wanted to do, but just get up and preach. He did the rest of the part that's supposed to probably be giving you the most satisfaction was not his thing. But I always thought that was really funny that to have it said that way. So,
Yeah, it's a tough job. It
well,
really is. I work real close to a pastor and wouldn't want the job.
it is a hard job.
Yes, it is.
Well, I feel like I have been to church with you many times in a sense over the years, and this is really I was so thrilled to hear from you and your enthusiasm for my success and Wally's success in this journey that he and I have been on, and when you said, listen, how can I play a part? There was no way I didn't want you to be part of this podcast, introduce you to our audience. And when I think about just all of those moments for me, I just want to say thank you for always being the example of, a guy that's like, there's a lot of reasons I could be down, but I'm not down. I am living life to the fullest. And you've definitely been an amazing example for a lot of people, and you've touched a lot of people's lives. And I'm glad to hear that you're continuing on that journey through your executive coaching. So
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for you. Your smile brightened up the whole room. Yep.
well, listen, I'm cheering you on. I want to hear about your vacation when you get back. I will, for everybody listening in, how would they find you if they want to connect with you in any way? Where are they able to connect with you? Whether it could be to be an executive coach for them or just to follow you, how would they find you?
They can just email me, Rick Hust at gmail.com. Real simple, Rick Hust at gmail.com. They can do that. I have a website that I have for a Christian website called Worry to Worship. And it's a Worry to Worship. If they want to check that out, they can check that out. But, just email me. It doesn't even have to be for a coaching situation. Say, hey, I got a question, man. I saw that podcast with Tracy Spears and I want to ask you something. I'll be happy. I'm a retired guy. I got time.
You're making retirement look fun.
It is.
Have a great vacation. Hello to Kim, and thanks so much for your time.